Kit Gurus with Phanteks at Computex 2023. We're at the Hyatt. It's a really noisy room. We're surrounded by YouTube royalty. Steve Burker Gamers Next is just there, talking in a really soft tone of voice, and Paul of Paul's Hardware's over that away. And I've got a light on standby because parts of this room are really dark. Behind me we have power supplies with no cables. Come in, Matt. Phanteks has been in the power supply business for a few years now. They've partnered with Seasonic from day one, and they're sticking with Seasonic. This, however, is interesting. Their logic is when you buy a power supply, you end up with a bunch of cables you don't want. Then if you go after Cable Mod or some other company and you buy a bunch of expensive accessories, you've got loads of cables that are only fit for scrap, and that makes no sense. So how about you buy a power supply without cables, as per the logos? So here's the idea. You buy your brand new power supply, such as, for example, this Revolt 1600 watt, and you specify it without cables. That means the package is a lot smaller, and you're saving something like £80, euros, dollars, and then you head off to Cable Mod and you buy cables for that specific power supply. You can, of course, if you choose, use cables from a Seasonic. They are completely interchangeable. This strikes us as a really good idea, and here we see it in practice. And this is the point. When you have a fully spec'd out NV7 build, all you want to see is a little bit of modded cables. We've decided this is anti-stealth. Stealth motherboards have the connections on the back, regular motherboards do not. This is making the most of the connectors and what you can see. We like this idea, it makes a lot of sense. We saw Phanteks D30 fans at CES. This is an array of coolers that have been packed out with D30s, both in white and black. We've got 240s and 360s. Frankly, nothing to report here except that they've made their product stack far more logical and filled out. And we move around, and here we see D30 in 140mm size, or as they're now calling it, 14 centimeter. So we're familiar with the 120s, and now we have 140s in black, in white, in regular, and reverse. As I say, a full product stack that covers every single permutation that you care about. I don't think we're going to see these fans in smaller sizes, 92 or 80. I don't think we're going to see 180s either. The RGB in these fans hasn't changed over the years. The lighting that Phanteks uses is absolutely excellent. They tell us there's no real likelihood of an upgrade because every single step up with LEDs, for example, bidirectional communication, doubles the cost. And that makes no sense. At CES, we saw the NV7, which has been subsequently reviewed by James, and he liked it. Here we're looking at the NV5, possibly the most predictable thing in the whole of casedom, i.e. it's a smaller version of the NV7. Now this clearly is the white build, and it looks absolutely lovely. I'm going to tell you the price, which is £129, euros, dollars, but that doesn't tell you the full story because Phanteks has added some accessories to this NV5. This lighting strip along the bottom, for example, is an accessory. That's a magnetic lighting strip, and it comes to about £69, euros, dollars for the kit. So it goes along there, along the front, up the side, and around the top. I believe 5 pieces in total. So that's quite a high proportion of the $129 price ticket. You need to bear this in mind. Also, this NV5 comes without any fans whatsoever. So it's a smaller, more compact version of the NV7. The ticket price is a lot cheaper, but you can bling it out. As things stand, this I like the look of. But the black version to its right, this looks ultra smart to my mind, and that's despite the reflections giving you a fairly poor view of this case. We've got a couple of things to mention here. One, clearly an enormous graphics card, huge graphics card, and there's still plenty of space around it despite this being a relatively budget case. The other thing is this LCD display down bottom. This is a new accessory from Phanteks, hasn't yet launched. Here is an example. It's a magnetic LCD with HDMI and a mini USB for power, connects to SATA. It's a 1440p display. If we go back to the one that's fitted in the case, we can get a much better look at things. priced at £130, euros, dollars. We were bemoaning the Thermaltake approach where they have a number of different LCDs for different cases. They're small, they're quite expensive, they lack the bling factor that Phanteks is bringing to the party. This is a really smart move, and as the display is magnetic and uses HDMI, it means it's universal. You can plug it into any PC. Here's a stripped down bare NV5 just so you can see exactly what you're getting for your ticket price of $129. A perfectly sound case, but once you take out the RGB and the fans, it gains a huge amount of space. By eye, I'm going to put that at about Corsair 4500D. That's my opinion, I'm sticking with it, and that's despite the designer standing within touching distance. And swinging across, we have the NV7. Purely for reference, we can see how much larger the NV7 is. It is worth remembering the NV7 is all about the 120mm fan units, plus we have the power supply housing, the power supply being in the rear chamber. It changes the look of the case. Some of the comments below our CES coverage of the NV7 were suggesting a lot of dead space at the top of the build. We know this is not correct. You can easily fill out the NV7. In fact, plenty of people have looked at the NV7 and said, that would be great if only it was a little larger. And so we come to the NV9, as it says, bigger and better. Shipping in October, priced at $299, supports 140mm fan units, up to 11 of them, but if you choose, you can go for up to 12 120mm fan units. In essence, take the NV7, make it bigger in all dimensions, and you've got the NV9. One of the features that we like here is I'm pointing through the glass, that's a bit stupid. One of the features that we like here is the GPU mount, which is a new accessory. As you can see, the GPU is inclined. It can swing from upright to 30 degrees from the vertical. That bracket will sell for £99 euros, dollars, and it is universal, so you can buy it even if you don't have a Phanteks case. Although obviously you ought to have a Phanteks case. Looking at the back of this black version of the NV9, we have the radiator fan rack on the left-hand side. Over on the right, the white thing covers your cables. The radiator fan rack on the NV9 is removable, as you can see. There's a thumb screw. They've changed the construction of the NV9 to make it much more substantial than the NV7. So the NV7 has a fixed cooling bracket. The NV9, the changes mean you can now remove it, and that's going to make installation and cleaning significantly easier. Enthoo Pro 2 Server Edition. As the name suggests, it's intended for workstation and pro market. We saw an early version of this case at CES this year, so about 6 months ago. It is now heading for shipping. You can expect to get your hands on this case in August. Clearly the main feature is this hefty graphics card support. It holds these big, heavy, expensive units solidly, so you can install multiple GPUs in your workstation, and naturally plenty of space for loads of cooling and storage. As we finish up at Phanteks, I have a couple of questions for you. Do you favour 140mm fans or 120mm fans? And more importantly, would you buy a power supply without any cables? These might sound like daft questions, but they're good questions. And that's the kind of thing we've come to expect at Phanteks. Let's get on with the rest of Computex.